Good afternoon. It is October the 4th, 2022. I've decided to finally do this thing for real. I'm going to be doing just little commentaries for the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure how many days a week I'm going to do them, but I'm going to try just to give you an idea of what my channel is really meant to be about. Um, for now, however, I just wanted to let you know that um, I have a bit of a process that I'm going through. I'm a little bit of a type A personality, and unfortunately, that sort of impacts me and my ability to get things done. I got some good news. My health situation is improving. I hope, and pray because they finally got a handle on what's going on with my body and why it decided to turn its self against me. And hopefully, I can beat back whatever it is that uh, has come up this time. I do suffer from an autoimmune disease, so I have some information coming up, I hope, that will help share that information that I have dealing with the process of autoimmune disease and how weird it manifests itself in the human body. In my case, it was a rare condition 20 years ago when I was first diagnosed. I was given the best advice ever by a doctor who diagnosed me, saying, get to know your disease and manage your symptoms, and you'll be okay. And I've been doing that, and I'm still here, and I am 60, so I'm happy for that. So that's one thing that I wanted to give you information on. The other thing is my channel is probably about some of my life experiences as a Canadian woman who's in her just about to approach her 60s. Well, I'm officially there. Anyway, I don't believe it. I don't care. The reason I don't care is because I don't care about stupid stuff anymore. I care about what's real. And I've learned that a lot of us, especially here in Canada, have been distracted by stuff that means nothing. I've also learned that our government is way off the beam. And what I used to be a Liberal supporter, no longer have been when I started to open my eyes to what the Liberals have been doing. And that was during the Chrétien years. And then beyond that, I thought, well, maybe the answer was conservative. And then I realized that no, no, no. The answer has nothing to do with conservative or Liberal or NDP or Bloc Québécois or whatever they want to call themselves these days. What the problem is we've got too many elitists that are professional politicians. And as such, we've got a real problem here in Canada, and we've got to stop it. And the only way to stop it is to become informed, and that's part of the reason I'm making this channel, is to help those people that are stubborn, hard-headed, and stupid, like myself. And open your eyes, forget your fears, because the only fear is not doing what you're supposed to do. Now, before you ever go to a voting station ever again, and I give this to all advice to all political people and any politicians form, is make yourself acquainted with these politicians who are in control of your life. The best way to do that in Canada is to watch CPAC. 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 It's especially when Parliament is in. Because once you watch these people, you can actually see how stupid they are and how foolish you've been to vote them in. And why be dedicated to a party? Be dedicated to a person and then hold that person to account. That's what I'm saying. Liberals, wake up. Watch CPAC and then get a call in to your member of parliament and say, stop this nonsense. It's October the 4th. I implore any of you, to watch today's CPAC and listen to this beautiful young lady. I've forgotten her name, but I will give you the information at some point once I've learned how to do this properly. She was so beautifully articulate. She's young, she's fresh, she's fantastic. And she was calling the government to account for these ridiculous taxes that they're increasing on us, especially those of us who actually have to pay taxes. And they are becoming fewer and fewer. You know why? Because the people that are working and paying the taxes are slowly and but surely becoming too poor to pay taxes. That's because those of us who pay taxes are anywhere from 40 to 60% taxes that they pay. And they're starting to wonder, what the heck? Why am I paying so much in taxes? Because nobody's speaking for me. Nobody's giving me the freedoms that I believed I was supposed to have. Just saying. Watch CPAC, for the love of God. If you cannot bear to watch these idiots going on at each other, watch it with Mr. Sunshine Baby. He's got a YouTube channel, and he talks over them sometimes. But he's cute. He's very pretty to look at. God bless him. And he's smart. And he's on a learning curve because he's young, and unfortunately he didn't realize until a few years ago how badly Canadians have been educated in the last 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it's been, that people have been pandering to people that pay their bills, and these are what our politicians are doing. Not the new guys. These new guys, that's a good crop. So watch them. Reward the politicians that deserve it. This lady that spoke up and called government to account for these new taxes that they're just implementing as winter is approaching. And we have to fill our gas tanks if we have gas. If we're in the rural communities particularly. So pay attention to what's going on, everybody, all across Canadians. No matter what side of the spectrum you fall on, you can't afford to let your children grow into this world the way the Canadian government has decided it's supposed to be. Number one. Number two, don't be afraid of any nuclear war. What you need to be afraid of is the people in control in your own country. That goes for the United States too. Because these free systems, these idiots, have forgotten that you have to protect your freedoms by holding your political people to account. And you've ignored what they've been doing for too long. It's time to wake up, smell the roses, and stop watching CBC, CTV, and all that nonsense. Get on YouTube. Find what's right. Find what speaks to your heart and tells you the truth. And then listen to them, because they're not conspiracy theorists. You know, the thing about theories is they're all ideas, including woke. Woke is a theory. A theory. A theory. Everything is a theory, unless it's a fact. And you can tell the difference between a theory and a fact, because a fact doesn't have the word theory following it. You know, critical thinking was something we were taught in school. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is something that's real. Critical theory, in anything that ends with theory, like critical race theory, is just an idea of some fool who's got enough political power to persuade the world that that's the way to go. And Bill Gates is one of those idiots. That's, as Mother Angelica used to say, God rest her soul, she was EWTN, and she's a scholar. She used to say something like, they're educated beyond their intelligence. Well, I don't know what's happened to these people who have money, but they've all seemed to have lost their minds. And they're using their money, their power, and their control for nefarious purposes that have nothing to do with the world's true state. And while we do have an ecological crisis going on, I'm sure, because I know my husband works with a lot of the people in this studying climate change over the last few decades. And, you know, there is something going on. But the answers that are coming out of our politicians are not true. They're not correct. And they're going to starve the most vulnerable of us. So stop listening to these idiots. Just because they were elected doesn't mean that they're smart and they know anything more than you do. That's number one. I'm an old, outspoken old lady bitch. Sorry. God forgive me for saying that. But my one of my favorite pastors, Father Frank, and you know who you are, out of St. Michael's Basilica here in Toronto, gave me marching orders, and I'm taking it to heart, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And that's to try to get the message out to those foolish people who think that they're safe. The only thing that's out to get you is Mr. Trudeau, in my opinion, and I have no expertise other than I've lived long enough, as a woman especially, in this world. I've been educated. I gave birth to a woman and a young man. Beautiful, beautiful people. Wonderful examples of humanity. And very open-minded, or at least they used to be. My daughter has closed her mind because all she can watch is the nonsense that she gets from the fools that are still drinking whatever Kool-Aid CTV and CBC and Global and all those people are. So my recommendation is to watch CPAC. If you can't bear up to it, watch Mr. Sunshine Baby. He's a good guy, and he's funny, and he's sweet, and he's a hero. The other person to watch, if you want real news, is this guy named Clyde Do Something. He's marvelous. He gives you his take, and he's a very sweet young man who seems to have his finger on the pulse of the world as it affects us. And he lives in British Columbia, one of my favorite, most beautiful provinces. I'm a military brat, so I'm a Canadian girl. That means that I've been educated everywhere. I love each province for its own beauty, and I want my Canada back. Mr. James Tops, God bless him. I hope he made it through the hurricane that hit us. Unbelievable. I'm a Cape Breton brat too, and that's home to me. That's down home, and I love Cape Breton. It's where my life began, and where my most happy memories from my childhood was being in Cape Breton, in Birch Grove. Shout out to you guys. In a very large family with my granny and my papa, living in the greenhouse. And our spot was a little greenhouse that I used to call just a little greenhouse, but apparently it was just a shed in the yard. But that's where we lived when my dad was out and worked as a military man, doing what military people do when they go on scheme and are gone for months at a time. We went down east. That's home to me, and I'll always call it my home. And all my aunts and uncles, that some of them were like brothers and sisters to me, and others were like mothers and fathers to me, and they all mean everything to me. And I love them all. I love a lot of things, and I am so grateful for everything that I've experienced. And I hope and pray that the rest of these people who are a little bit nervous to get out of the closet, we Canadians say we want to be low profile. We're polite. We're not outspoken. We like to get along, and that's true. But you know what? It's time to stand up for the people that can't stand up for themselves, people. And that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm doing this. I love you all. I think I've got... Oh, there's a book that Father Frank quoted, and I think it's worth a read. And if I get a chance to read it, I will. It's called... Let me see what the name of it is. Blah, 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 blah. By the way, I'm a lazy girl, and I'm calling anybody to help me do this, to contact me. Eventually, I'm going to start my live stream, and I think that's going to come through Patreon, I hope, if everything works out well. But I don't want to waste a lot of time. I know that this format is kind of weird and to me, and I'm hoping that if there's anybody who watches me, you'll continue to watch until I figure out how to do this live streaming thing. God bless you all. Have a good day. And the name of the book, let me see. Institution. Wait a minute. Intuition to Institution. It's about forming a society, I think, forming an industry. And it was made by one of my favorite saints, St. Francis. Well, inspired by St. Francis of Assisi. And I think a lot of people, even if you're not Catholic, like St. Francis because he's considered to be the guy who, he was weird like me, I guess. And he threw off he got naked in public. I mean, he was a bit of a radical. And you're not your run of the mill kind of Catholic, if you know what I'm saying. And that's something else that is part of who I am that I'm discovering and loving. Anyway, God bless you all. Have a great day. And remember, before you go to a voting booth, please watch a little bit of CPAC. Watch the politicians and who is speaking coherently and who is just trying to develop their support system by, oh, look at me, I'm so nice. No, we want people who want to work for the Canadian people, who understand that job's supposed to be temporary, not supposed to be permanent, and it's not supposed to make you rich. You're supposed to be poor as a politician. Let's keep that happening. God bless you all. Have a great day. And it's October the 4th, 2022, and God willing, next week, there's a guy named Clyde Do Something. He's reporting that Mr. Trudeau is going to be held to account next week in a court. So let's everybody who can get to Ottawa, watch him testify for what he's done to the truckers, to the farmers, and to the people of Canada. God bless you. Love you all. Have a good day.